Before I get back to your calls, number one, does anybody care? Now, I don't know what did Wojnarowski say about this whole thing with Colangelo. Does anybody care about what's going on with the Philadelphia 76ers and their GM on a Twitter account? I mean, who cares? But we're making such a big deal about it. I don't care if he goes on top of the Coors State's arena during games and criticizes his whole team. Who cares what who cares? Oh my God, I'm amazed. That's a Steve Torrey story. And let's get through the day and let's knock Colangelo on the Twitter page with the fake accounts. Who cares? I mean, literally, does anybody in America care what? Nobody knows who Bryan Colangelo is, much less figure out what he's doing with the Twitter page. And number two, I disagree with Steve as far as these, the umpiring and baseball and changing calls. Bad calls have been part of the sport and all sports for 100 years. I mean, it's part of the lure of the sport. And if a team, is not good enough to overcome a bad call, a la the 85 Cardinals with Deckinger, well, so be it. That's the way it goes. You got to be sometimes good enough to overcome that call. Everybody makes a big deal about that order play at first base in 85 Game 6 Kansas City. I mean, geez, the Cardinals still gave up 2 runs in the inning. I mean, they still should have won the game. Clark, they didn't catch a pop-up. They did a horrendous job that inning. And then they got bombed in Game 7. If you're a big team, you're going to overcome this. And to figure out now the strike zone, because there's 5 or 6 pitches, and that's all there is. The idea that I heard the David Cohn and O'Neill and Kay last night go nuts on a Yankee strike zone the Yankee game strike zone with Trip Gibson, the home plate umpire. I mean, you're splitting hairs one way or the other. I mean, it worked both ways. Did that affect the outcome of the game? It did not. The Yankees got 3 runs off that awful bullpen. I mean, that didn't affect the outcome of the game. It's part of the game. I'm not for it. I mean, you want to tell me that the game will pick up a little quicker because the players can't argue about the strike zone, so they can't go back and bark at the umpires and get themselves resettled. Players are going to get themselves resettled after every pitch, no matter what the circumstances, because it's habit, and that's what players do. They're going to take their gloves off. They're going to step out of the box. They're going to rub dirt. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Whether there's a computer back there calling the balls and strikes or not, it's not going to make the pace of play any better, because players have that home plate routine that they're not going to change, because now they know that they can't argue on the balls and strikes. So look back at the home plate umpire about a pitch he's not happy with. So the idea that it's going to help pace the play is a bunch of nonsense. You want to make an argument that will get the calls right a little better? Mike in Orange County, California, a Steve Torrey fan, and he says hello, and he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Mike, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hey, Chris. How you doing? Hey,
fine, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, good. That last caller that came on before your break, he's talking about LeBron, he has a wingman, and you're trying to ask him who the wingman was. Are you sure that wasn't Steve on the phone?
No.
Because I know Steve's, really, the guy's knowledge, I thought I was listening to Steve, first of all. No, by the way, Steve.
But you are tough on Steve. You are tough on Steve.
Steve, what about you?
I'm tough on him, but I mean, Steve knows that. I think Steve knows that J.R. Smith's not as good as Kyrie Irving. I think so. He probably knows that there is not a wingman available for LeBron this year compared to last year.
Of course. Hey, let me talk about the top 10 NBA list. I think it's always fascinating. The top 10 all time. There's so much debate in basketball about this, right? I say you could argue there could be 6 Lakers on the list, but at least play for the Lakers at some point in their career. You have
Shaq, Kobe, Kareem, West, Elgin Baylor, and Magic Johnson.
Jared.
I understand. Yeah.
There you go, Chris. You nailed it. And after 1 and 2, let's say, Michael's 1, LeBron's 2. Interesting after that. I say it could be Kareem, Magic, and Bird, 3, 4, 5. Very difficult, though. I mean, Magic. Chris, I think Magic, if you go back to history, he was just absolutely amazing. You remember his career was cut short. He was just electric. And Kareem's underrated. To me, still underrated as one of the all-time greats. The guy was unstoppable.
Unstoppable. I mean, no, good argument. Good call, Mike. Yeah, listen, I think a lot of people think Kareem's is the best player of all time. A lot of people think. I know Kevin Lockery feels that way. He loves Kareem. I don't think that. I think right now, though, I think we have to be fair, and even me, who has been harder on him than most. LeBron's got to be number 2. I mean, I don't see how, and it had nothing to do with Sunday night, but he's got to be number 2. I mean, his physicality, his three-point shooting, his all-around play. I mean, he's a freak, physical freak. I mean, he's got to be number 2. So we'll put LeBron number 2. Now, you can argue Jordan. Go ahead. He's not as good in my eyes, but you can argue Jordan, and I won't ever change that. Jason in Philadelphia, Mad Dog Unleashed. Jay, welcome. Your turn. How are you today, pal?
I'm doing well, Chris. How are you?
Fine, Jay. Thank you. What's on your mind now? Let me hear.
Well, before I get to the Mets, first, I'm with Huck. We have to hear about the Shorehaven playoff round.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. I got to get that in today. I promise. Go ahead. Next.
First, what Phillips was saying, some of the reason for the Mets is the Callaway moves. If you think about Monday, there's no reason Familia shouldn't have come in to close that game. They were coming off of 3 terrible losses in Milwaukee. Lugo already gave up the tying run in the 8th inning. He hit for him in the 9th, even though Familia was up warming up.
I agree. Familia's got to close that game. I mean, he is your closer. It was an important game. It was 3-2 bottom 9. Familia has to pitch that 9th inning. I think Seth Lugo, I know he's been pretty good in the bullpen. He cannot close that game if you're a Met fan. I agree with that. Go ahead.
He can. This is where the analytics come into play. It's not just he said, well, we had a plan DeGrom, and then Lugo was going to go 2. Well, they needed that game. Based on the momentum, they lost 3 in a row. Yeah. They needed to bring him in that game.
Yeah, you're right about that. Go ahead. Next.
And the next point is DeGrom's having the best season that nobody's going to hear about years from now. Listen to these numbers in his last 7 starts, Chris. ERA .45, 1 whip, batting average 183 against, runners in scoring position, the opposing team 0 for 29. You know how many wins he has?
What, 3 wins?
2.
Wow. Yeah, he's a good call, Jay. He's a big-time pitcher. Big-time pitcher. I agree with everything you said. DeGrom for Gleyber Torres would be, and then the Yankees throw something else in. That would be fascinating. And a Yankee fan would have to make that trade because they had to put DeGrom as their 3rd starter or 2nd starter. He'd be their best pitcher automatically. They'd have to give up Torres at second base and something else, a pitcher in the farm system, what have you. That trade would never happen, but I find that a fascinating trade, a thought process. Rhode Island is next. Here's Jay. Jay, good afternoon. How are you today, pal? Okay.
Hey, dog. I love you, but let's talk about stats. Nobody mentions it. I wait for the interview with Steve Phillips all week long. Instead of Giancarlo Stanton, let's talk about J.D. Martinez. Since last year's All-Star break, he leads the majors with 49 home runs and 119 RBIs over 119 games, and he's tied the league with Trout for home runs this year. The number one reason why the Red Sox were 27th in home runs last year and now 2nd in the league in home runs this year, and 1 game away from 40 wins with 4 months to play in baseball. Nobody's mentioning it.
That's a very good point. And if you look at the price tags for Martinez making $20 million a year and Stanton making $30 million a year, that looks like a steal for Dave Dombrowski. That's a very good point. Go ahead. Next.
And let's not stop there. Since the beginning of the season, Betts has been every bit as good as Trout.
Oh, yes.
Benintendi's been the best player in the last month. Bogarts has got his power back. Nunez is a professional pain in the butt at the plate. I'm telling you, and Red Sox got 5 games more wins than the Yankees. I think Yankees will be in trouble with a 1-game series because Red Sox are going to win that division.
I think the Yankees are better. We're going to have to wait and see. Good call. I think the Yankees are a better team. I think the Red Sox pitching will get them in a little trouble. I think the Yankees will get a pitcher, and I think the Red Sox bullpen is very spotty. Plus, the Red Sox have had a very easy schedule. Yankees are finishing up with 7 games with Houston. Red Sox haven't played Houston yet. They're going to play those 7 games. Yankees have also played the Indians 3 times. The Red Sox haven't played that team yet. That's 10 right there. So the Yankees have finished with Anaheim already. They played 6 games against them. Red Sox still have a series with the Angels. So you got to keep that in mind with that schedule. 46. Quarter to 5, quarter to 8, quarter to 5 here, quarter to 2 in the West, 4:46 as we speak. And we continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed.